Guys, if you have following the Bitcoin price for this weekend, you know exactly that everything happened that I predicted in my last video, and we are still remaining in my current short position. I can let you know that there is a potential scale up and new short position entry right ahead around the corner. But for us, we definitely hope that there is a chance for Bitcoin to reverse. So let's not talk too much. Let's just jump right into the charts and let's also take a look at two very interesting on-chain datas that are providing us a little bit more information on when to expect the price to finally reverse to the upside again, so our hodl portfolios also feel nice and not our trading portfolios only, because they are definitely benefiting from this high volatility. Guys, I told you in my last video that if we are seeing the traditional markets starting to correct on Friday, that there is a very low chance that not only the traditional markets will correct pretty sharply, but also that Bitcoin will go against it. There was a very high chance that Bitcoin will just follow the traditional markets as it has been for the last weeks and months, actually, since the Bitcoin ETFs got so much attention from the traditional mainstream institutional investor space. And I mean, let's take a look. I told you if we are seeing this, we need to expect that Bitcoin is just continuing to fall over the weekend. And as you can see, when the markets opened, they immediately opened below our old lows and our old highs over here. And on the 1 hourly time frame, you can pretty much see perfectly that we directly opened below the price that I told everyone we should not break to the downside. And now, I mean, we can see what happened. Bitcoin is falling. And even after Friday, Bitcoin continued to correct to the downside, as there is not really any bullish narrative, what I told you also in my last video, that could save us if Friday turns out to be bearish for the traditional markets. Guys, as always, I want to quickly just thank everyone for 2,000 likes on my last video once again. Let's reach 2,000 likes again. I would highly appreciate it. And besides this, thank you very much for everyone also that participated in the last giveaway. Potentially, depending on the feedback on this video, so let me know in the comments down below, I will do such a giveaway in the next video again, probably. So make sure you subscribe, activate the bell, leave a thumbs up, although you don't need to do these things to participate in the giveaway, but for sure do it so you don't miss out on any of this highly important content. Because in my video, before my last video, I told you if we get rejected from the 0.618, and especially if we are breaking below this ascending triangle support, we need to expect Bitcoin to correct very fast and faster than anyone expects. And this exactly happened. We fall back to the low $80,000 levels, where we also took out a majority of the long liquidations that were available for market makers and the exchanges. So now on the liquidation heat map, we can see that there is a big chunk of liquidations, short liquidations, forming right now above the $89,000 level. But I have to say that currently, every time Bitcoin consolidates for a while, and we could also see this over here, once Bitcoin consolidated here for some time, there was a huge amount of high risk long people entering the market, and we need to be aware that the market makers could just let the price go sideways until the people that recently go long actually even out the people that went short up here. I mean, they went short somewhere here, but they have their liquidation prices up here. So the people that on average went short in the recent history, they can just even out the positions, and then they have no need of actually liquidating these short positions before some more downside could potentially occur. So what do we now need to keep an eye on till the end of the day? Because as I told you in my last video, if the USDT dominance candle closes like this, we have at least a little bit of chance of only seeing a small pump within the next week, or we can only a small dump within the next week. But especially if we are confirming this bounce of this downward sloping resistance, we will have almost no likelihood of a significant reversal within the next week. So what I definitely don't want to see is the USDT dominance closing above the 5.5% level, or even at the 5.6% level. This would definitely indicate that the weekly candle on the USDT dominance closed very bullish, which is an extremely bearish sign for Bitcoin. And this will lead us, especially if the traditional markets cannot recover on Monday. If they can recover, we might have a chance. If they cannot recover and continue to fall, especially below this low over here, guys, be prepared that Bitcoin will get involved in a heavy bloodbath. And this is also why I opened a short position when this breakout happened, because we knew that Bitcoin will correct very fast afterwards once this bullish market structure is broken. So I will potentially scale this short position up in the case that the USDT dominance closes, as I said, 5.5, 5.6%, something along these lines. Because then only a small pump maybe within the next week, but overall we should see a bearish weekly candle close then once again and potentially retest the $76,000 lows. Besides this, there is not much to keep an eye on, to be honest, because on the smaller time frames, all we are forming right now is a rising wedge that actually is breaking to the downside currently. In this video, I wanted to tell you that we might have a chance to close the weekly candle neutral at least, if Bitcoin is able to break out here to the upside and push up to the $85,000 level till the end of the day. But if we are now here breaking to the downside, and especially if we're here confirming this breakout with retesting the past resistance and then breaking the low point to the downside once again, which would lead to a confirmation of this breakdown, we have almost 0% chance of closing the weekly candle neutral or even bullish for Bitcoin on the USDT dominance, right? There is then just the likelihood that we at least don't fully confirm it bullish, right? This would be then a scenario where it is definitely more likely that a bullish scenario for the USDT dominance happens next week, which would be a bearish one for the rest of the cryptocurrency markets. But maybe if we are lucky, the traditional markets really reverse very quickly and heavily, which would pull Bitcoin up with it. So then we have a little bit of a chance. But if we actually close the USDT dominance at 5.55, 5.6, there's even the chance that even if the traditional markets pull to the upside again, that Bitcoin would still continue to correct. So this is really like a full-on bearish confirmation if we close this weekly candle above. So fingers crossed that this does not happen till the end of the day. But this is all you can keep an eye on. To be honest, I'm keeping it very simple, guys. As you have seen within my last videos, if you don't overcomplicate things, you don't look at too many indicators and stuff, but simple and very frequently working things like the 0.618 Fibonacci retracement level and so on, you can predict moves with the help of a liquidation heat map in the charts much better than looking at hundreds of different indicators where you might get confused. So if you like this way of trading, smash up a like. Maybe we can reach 2,000 likes again. Subscribe, activate the bell. And for sure, one thing that I want to show you before now we end this video are two very interesting on-chain datas. Because first of all, we have the comparison of Bitcoin moving from spot exchanges like Coinbase and Kraken to derivatives exchanges like BitGet or BitUnix and so on, or Levex. And what we can see, a decrease in the volume moving from overall exchanges to derivatives exchanges can indicate that whale investors trading with Bitcoin, now I got confused, that whale investors trading derivatives are not taking leveraged positions, assuming the risk with Bitcoin as collateral. There is a higher likelihood of a bearish market when the indicator declines. So this is showing us that there is less Bitcoin being moved from spot to derivatives, which shows us that people are not willing to take more risk with leverage, right? Because this involves more risk. Less risk taking means that people are unsure about the direction of the asset. And this also means that people are more likely to take out some profits if they are still in profit. This will be something we will talk about in a second. They are more likely to take out profits, or they are even more likely to realize a loss, right? Because they are so unsure about the next move. And on top of that, putting new money in is also something these people then don't want to do, as they don't know what is going to happen next, and they rather actually reduce their risk, right? Which is a bearish sign. And in the past, you can see that when this indication really started to go downhill, we have seen two massive bear markets actually. So I really hope that we can see a proper reversal in the near future, because this is for sure our longest streak of spot to derivatives volume decreasing that we have seen since our all-time highs in the 2021 bull run. So this is something we definitely can keep an eye on for the next couple of weeks to really find out if this is just a correction here within a bull market, or if the bull market is actually ending prematurely with all the traditional market and economic uncertainty that the Trump administration right now is causing. So now let's also take a look what I just said about the realized profit. This is something that is very interesting because, as I just explained, if there's high uncertainty, which this indication shows us, people are more likely to take profits and to realize a loss. So we need to take a look on chain. When are people actually stop doing that? Because this will then be a prediction for this indicator to slowly start turning bullish again, which then leads to a very strong bull market continuation, right? So if we are taking a look here, you can see that the average market participant was in a very high profit when Bitcoin reached the $100,000 for the first time. Since then, the average market participant is actually not in such a high profit anymore. As we can see, the ratio between short-term and long-term holder realized profit to short-term holder realized profit, we can see that more and more people that short-term entered the market above $95,000 are actually realizing losses, and long-term holders are actually realizing profits. And as soon as this slows down, and especially if this ratio comes close to zero once again, this is an indication that there has been a big redistribution that occurred. This means that, as you can also here see, the long-term holders against the short-term holders realized loss. You can see that we are now evening that out again. So this means people lost money, people made money. There has been a redistribution that occurred. So not only long-term holders took profits, but also short-term holders were scared enough to sell in a loss. And now we are back to baseline pretty much, where the average long-term holder is in slight profit and the short-term holder is at around break even. That is currently still in the market, right? And this means that we are at a point where the redistribution has ended. And when the redistribution has ended, normally people start holding their assets again, and actually a new phase begins where people actually start buying the asset and accumulating once again. Still, till we get to a rapid point where the average long-term holder, right, these short-term holders that then accumulate and hold till they are really in a profit, these will then become to the high profitable people that want to take out profits. There we can expect a top, and we can expect the correction to go on as long as we don't see some people getting washed out of the market and the redistribution occurring, so short-term holders realizing losses, as we can see over here. So also for the next 2 weeks, we will keep an eye on both of these. I will update you, not every day, because these bigger time on-chain datas, we only need to take a look at them maybe once every 1 or even only 2 weeks. So don't expect me to talk about this in every video. But in general, it's something you definitely can keep an eye on also to see when the market is actually shifting to a more bullish momentum again, if you don't only want to be dependent on the charts. The charts you can then use to really find an optimal entry point for a short position, for a long position, just like we did when we got rejected of the 0.618 and then broke down this bullish market structure to actually enter a bearish market structure, right? But this is already it, guys. Keep an eye on the charts. Keep an eye on the USDT dominance for sure till the end of the day. As I said, you know exactly what levels to keep an eye on here. And I mean, for Monday, let's hope that the traditional markets can reverse a little bit. If you are seeing a bearish market open close on Monday, guys, be prepared for this low to potentially be taken out on the S&P 500. And then it will quickly get very ugly for not only the stock market, but especially for Bitcoin, that is currently correlating with the stock market extremely heavily, since we have the Bitcoin ETFs, and it's correlating with more volatility. So be prepared. But now, smash up a like. Let's reach 2,000 likes again. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe, activate the bell so you don't miss out on anything else. And you can just watch my next video, and then you will be informed of what to expect next. Exactly like I did it with my last 2 videos. Welcome to everyone new here. See you soon. Bye bye.